Good afternoon and welcome to this training, which is part of the Lead, Grow and Sell community. And I put this community together for expert-led business owners. So people have started their business with a particular expertise. I did the same many years ago when I launched a project management consultancy. And launching a business of that nature comes with its own challenges, which I'm fully aware of. And that's my mission, which is to help you. So this is the first of the weekly live training. So before I go on, there's a number of people who will be watching this either live or in the replay. May not know who I am, what I do. So I'm the founder, my name's Chris Hallett. I'm the founder of Wave Communications Group. I'm also the author of Purpose Before Profit, which is a book that was published in May, which is all about implementing purpose-led leadership into your business. It's not just a theoretical book, there's lots of research in there, and it's also an implementation manual. I created a whole methodology from that work, which is called the Purpose Before Profit method. And also what I've also done in the past is created a unique sales system called the Secure Sales System. And this training fits in part of that. So in the time that we've got together today, what I'm going to go into is just one element of what's involved in a sales call. And that's your emotional state. So when you leave here, you'll have a clear idea and understanding of what it means to manage your emotional state and why it's critical when you're having sales conversations with potential clients and how your state is formed. Because once we understand how we form that state, we can actually do something about it to change our state. So if you're watching this, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, drop a hello in and say whether you're live or on the replay, and just let people know what it is you do without posting links and making it into a sales pitch, just so that other people are aware of who you are and what you do. So whatever your business is, whether it's pure writing, you're a coach, you're a therapist, you're in HR, you're finance, IT, tech, you're in sales. And I have so many conversations with people who actually don't believe that they're in sales. And sales is one of the most important skills that as a business owner you can learn. And even before you go onto a sales call, whether it's on a Zoom, on a phone call, a sales presentation, the outcome of that sales call is cast and set before you go onto the call. I've worked with many experts over the years, people like myself, people like yourselves. And as a coach, most of them didn't believe that they could sell, let alone believing that they were in sales. And many of those people, when I interviewed them and spoke to them, said, well, I just have conversations. And the reality is that unless you have a structured process to manage your sales conversations, because that's really what it is, it should be a conversation, you're actually winging it. And so what I teach people is how to structure those sales calls so you can sell your services in an ethical way without being salesy, without being pushy. And this whole method I've found in the past, I've had people say to me, how do I work with you? How do I pay you? How do I transfer the money? So I've not even had to do a formal close and ask for the business. There are times, though, when you're going to have to ask for the business, and managing your emotional state, how you feel, is critical to the outcome of those sales conversations. So as I said at the outset, the outcome of your sales calls is set even before you enter the room, before you go on Zoom, before you start that conversation. When your prospective client comes onto that meeting with you, they're ready to buy. They've got an interest in what you do. They know something about you, and they have a problem that they believe that you can sell. So you have there a client ready and willing to buy your product or your services. And your job is to facilitate that call so that they do. Now, the truth of the matter is that when you enter that conversation, they actually feel your state before you speak. And that's part of the problem, because if you go into that meeting ready to sell, your client will detect that immediately and they'll put barriers up. I've done it myself. You've probably done it yourself. You see, everyone likes to buy, but no one likes to be sold to. What prospective clients do want is in the sales conversation, if you are going to sell to them, is that the process is non-salesy, it's conversational, and if it's well structured, they'll thank you at the end of it. Now, I keep referring to this business of you selling to them, but the reality is what you're there for is to serve their purpose, is to serve their need and satisfy their need. So we're going to talk now about perception is projection. And I want you to imagine a slide projector. Now, I go back a long way, and I remember the old-fashioned slide projectors, which were great big devices with acetate slides on projected onto a pull-up screen. So it doesn't matter what type of projector you visualize, whether it's one of those or one of those, as we see in training rooms now, that's stuck to the ceiling and projects onto a big LED screen. So imagine that slide projector and everything that's on the slides goes onto that screen. This is exactly how you show up. When you go onto a sales call, you're actually projecting things from your inner core out towards your client. You're projecting your emotional state. You may not be aware of it. So whether you show up to that call being, really pushy and you really want to sell, you need the business, you've got to walk out there with a deal, or you walk in there with beliefs that are disempowering or empowering, your client or your prospective client will detect that. So if you walk in, thinking, oh my God, it's been a really day, it's been hot, I'm tired. I mean, it's incredibly hot here in England at the moment. We don't have air conditioning. But if I was on a sales call, I'd manage my state so that clients aren't aware of exactly how I'm feeling because of the heat. What we want our clients to believe is that we're there to serve them and not to sell them. The beliefs that we hold, the stories that we run in our mind, our neurology, are critical to us maintaining our state. Because the risk is that if you don't show up into that call in a fully empowered state and ready to take control of it, your client they will take control, they'll put up the barriers, and they will detect that you're running this story, that you're not in sales, you're just there to have a conversation. So that's how they'll view it. They'll view it as a conversation. We run lots of strategies in our neurology, whether it's falling in love, motivation, buying, exercise. They're like little programs, like the ones that run in your computer operating system. I'm going to delve more into strategies on what they are on a future training. Every one of your prospects shows up with their buying strategy enabled, and it's running in their neurology. So they arrive wanting to buy. Your job is to fulfill that without blowing the conversation. As they say, there's an old saying that says, plucking victory from the course of defeat, from the jaws of defeat. Well, often some people who are selling their services, the reverse is true, where they pluck defeat from the jaws of victory. So when you go into a sales conversation and you don't believe that you're in sales or you're not a good salesperson, that approach is just a fear manifesting itself in a set of words that you're comfortable with. So my message to anybody in business, if you're managing the sales yourself, you are in sales. And everyone will be guided, and your prospect will be guided by the state that you show up with. Now, that state runs from previous learned experiences, both good and bad. So this is how our state is formed. We process information through all of our five senses. We see things, we hear things, we smell things, we taste things, and we can touch things. We can only experience the world through 5 senses. All of that information comes into our neurology and we process it through our unconscious mind. And we process it through a series of filters. Some of those filters are our values, they're our beliefs, they're the things that we hold to be true. What that gives us is an internal representation of the outside world. So whatever's going on outside, we create our own version of reality in our mind. That internal representation then determines our physiological state. Our physiological state also determines the behaviors, the actions we take, the behaviors we run, and the outcomes that we get. And likewise, those results, the outcomes, are an external event, which we then reprocess. So whatever goes on in your neurology will affect the results that you achieve. So that's true with a sales conversation. It's true when you go to the gym. It's true when you play a sport. Everything that we process through our neurology determines our state, determines our physiology, determines the actions we take and the results that we get. So this is why it's so important that when you go into a sales call, you manage your emotional state. State is the first step on the secure sales system, which sits in the growth focus, pillar 6 of the purpose before profit methodology. So the whole sales system, if you want to access that, I'm actually giving it away completely free in my paid membership within Substack. So if you want go to the upgrade button, you'll be able to get access that either as a monthly subscription, sorry, as a VIP member. It's only available to the VIP members. So I'll be running another one of these trainings next week. Drop your comments in. If there's one specific aspect of sales or marketing or business, then drop a comment and I'll make sure that I run that on a future one. And thank you for listening in, and I look forward to seeing you on a future event.